Hi, I'm Lee Sargent, and this is my Trekzone conversation.
Lee, thanks so much for your time, man, for the very first episode of a Trekzone conversation.
Oh, this is really exciting. I'm really happy to be part of it.
Now, we're next to a road, but we're at a cafe.
Which is closing.
So we're going to squeeze this one in and talk about a very special event that's happening right now. Tell us a little bit about what today is for you.
Today is the 250th day of this year, which means it's the 250th Star Trek scribble of the Star Trek 365 project. This Star Trek 365 project is a project that I'm doing an original drawing every day based around Star Trek. And every day for this whole year, and this is a bit of a milestone. This is it's been a long slog to get to here.
So we caught up in February, and you weren't quite sure whether you were going to make it, whether you were going to stick it out, but you have, and you've gotten to 250. What's it feeling like?
It's really it's good. It's great. It's been an interesting journey this time because, as I said, I've done it before a couple of years ago, and this time there's a lot more people along for the ride, which is awesome, and that's kind of really fun. But you are, of course, under a little bit more scrutiny, and you want to perform too, so you wind up putting probably that little extra effort in. These are daily scribbles, so a lot of people might be seeing this for the very first time, and they judge you on that very first one, and it's like, yeah, but I've done 249 of these, so some of them aren't going to be winners, guys, and that's just the reality of it. Some of them I'll be tired, and so it will be, I haven't quite got to a pencil sketch of Spock on a napkin yet, but it's coming. I'm sure
it could be coming.
Oh yeah, it's coming. I the very first one I wound up doing one of those. There was a drunken Sharpie sketch of Spock on, I think it was on a napkin actually, that at a Christmas party. So
wow.
I got right through, and then Christmas party, and I went, oh my god, I've got to do this drawing, and I've got to get it up online, and that's the danger of letting it catch up and doing it cutting edge.
I think there was a point there where you were releasing them a little bit late at night. Is this around that time?
No.
It was getting closer and closer to midnight.
It was getting very close to midnight. The closest I've come to midnight is about, I think it was 5 minutes. So 11:55 one night. I know that one, and that was ridiculous because I actually literally sat down and started painting at 11 o'clock, and then you've got to scan it in. You've got to put it up on the thing, and it's just it was. And I think even the internet was running a bit slow that night, and I was like, this is crazy. Don't do this again. So now I like to be done at least the day before, but I like to actually be done a couple of days ahead. Like, I always like to give myself a bit of, but it's just not practical sometimes, particularly with more elaborate pieces. So today's obviously is going to be on all the milestone issues, episodes or days, I guess. I've been trying to do a bigger A3. Normally they're A4 size, and I've been trying to do a bigger A3, more details and stuff on the celebratory days.
Putting a bit more effort in.
Yeah. Just taking a bit more time, like spreading it out over a couple of days beforehand. So I've done the crew of the Enterprise, the Enterprise a couple of times. 50 tribbles for the first one and stuff like that. And I've tried to cover off each of the series. And today, of course, the last one was Enterprise, and so of course this one is now Discovery.
Fantastic.
And that's been the biggest challenge for this was the different format of Discovery. Like, we're used to the family. It's very obvious who the family are in all the different shows. So Deep Space Nine, even though you've got people who are on the outer, Garrick and Quark and stuff like that, but they're still part of the family, Black Sheep possibly. And whereas Discovery, it's like, at what point during Discovery's first season do you go, how do I capture as much of the crew as possible, and are they your family, and are they, and I think at the end of the day, it's probably impossible. You just need to pick something something that inspires you from the show and go. And I think I always knew that I wanted Michael and Giorgio to be central to it. So getting a scene that had them in it and you could still be a bit elaborate with was always paramount for me.
Well, it's an absolutely fantastic drawing, and there are 250 of them now in the bank.
Yes.
As you alluded to, you are getting some feedback for these.
Yep.
There has been a bit of criticism, though.
Oh, look, criticism, I mean, I guess criticism is probably maybe too hard a word. Probably observation is probably a better word to use. Certainly a couple of months ago, it was raised that there was a lot more male-orientated pieces in the collection, and look, there's reasons for that, but it doesn't. At the end of the day, I think the very core of Star Trek is about representation. I mean, that was always the most powerful aspect of Uhura being there. She may not have had a huge amount to do, but she was there, and she was representing a whole range of people. And so kind of taking that on board, I think that's probably the most important thing to do, and trying to represent everyone as best you can is really important. It's not easy every day, and I think it's very easy for someone to kind of criticize, from a distance, but I think it's important to kind of try and keep it all in perspective.
Well, there's 115 days left in the year.
Yes, don't remind me of that.
What do you think you're missing? Aside from that feedback, but you personally, what do you think you need to add to this collection?
That's a really, really good question. I wish you'd prep me for that one beforehand so I could come up with a witty answer. But
I deliberately didn't.
That's fantastic. Okay, I guess you can struggle about like which series you represent more. I'd like to get a little bit more Discovery stuff into the bank. Not the greatest, like it's not my favourite version of the show, and that's I think the challenge where you bring your personal elements to it, where you're going, obviously I'm an original series fan, so I really love doing that, or if I'm watching Next Generation I might get encouraged to do that. I don't know, I guess it's still a work in progress. I guess I really want to get a comfortable, like I think there is a comfortable vibe there. It's a really intangible thing to be able to answer, actually. And it's a great question, because it's like, what are you searching for? Why are you doing these daily kind of drawings? And it is about bedding down a style or getting really comfortable with what you're doing, and how detailed are the backgrounds, or are they not detailed at all? I think I'd like to do probably more landscapey stuff and maybe more elaborate kind of stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, you've given me some really cool postcards here.
Yeah.
And there's one here of the original trio meeting the Borg.
Yes.
Where was the idea for that?
So what I wanted to do was, I love this idea of the what ifs. What if what if the Borg had been an original series character? And what would their costumes look like, and kind of what would be some of the dialogue around that. And from that, I was obsessed with the idea of drawing this image of one, designing Borg that would have fit the 60s aesthetic. And that was a lot of fun, because I've drawn a lot of Borg in my time. And so doing that and going, okay, well, their costumes would be, and I was really, what I'm kind of proud of with that is, and I don't know if anyone's noticed when they look at it, but if you go back and look at the episode, what is it? Conscious of the King. And there's a gentleman in that who Kirk knew as a child, who was injured during the Kodos incident. And he has this giant black velvet kind of prosthetic over his eye. And I kind of went,
yes.
That's kind of the design that they would actually do for the Borg, if the same designers were designing the Borg. And so that was a lot of fun to do. And then of course we had, like, if Picard was the one who encountered the Gorn for the first time, and so he would have talked him into surrender, a Darmok situation, and that was the inspiration behind that. Of course, I think my favourite, I've got two favourites out of it, apart from the Borg, and that sounds terrible. I've got they're all favourites. But I really enjoyed the alternate Trek series, because I did the Discovery crew in the Cage uniforms, and I'm a massive Cage uniform fan. So seeing them in those uniforms look really, really cool. I really like that. But I think the standout for me would probably be.
He's in a hurry to get somewhere, obviously.
It'd be Janeway on Harleys. No.
Could you imagine?
This is
on
it.
the Q continuum from season 3's Death Wish.
Instead of they find the old Ford.
Yes.
They find an old.
And Janeway knows exactly what to do with it.
Exactly what it is.
Ride it up and down the corridors.
Yeah. And I think we're about to get something. No, they're going past.
No.
Janeway asking God the question, what does God need with a starship? Which I think is such a quintessential Kirk moment. And I think Janeway was always to me, she was always the heir apparent to Kirk. As far as captains were concerned. So I like the idea, and I think she would totally question God.
Absolutely. And the thing I love about this drawing is the fact that Kes is in the Cybok role.
Yes, exactly, because she comes back to the ship and says, you need to come with me to the Great Barrier or something at the centre of the Delta
Quadrant. I found
a
shortcut home. It's around the other way.
That's it. And it's like, and then, she delivers them to the god of the Okompa. Who there is.
Who lives underground.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Well, this is fantastic, Lee. We've had a chat off air as well. Going to get you on the show. We're going to do a regular thing, Talk and Trek.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that, actually.
So we're going to each month we're going to do an episode on a series.
Yeah.
We worked out and on a series and on a movie. So we worked out that's going to give us a little bit of time, maybe a year's worth of content, which could be exciting.
Oh, I think that's really, really cool because it's a wonderful. I love kind of being able to go back and critically look at some of these shows, and I think that's what's wonderful about Star Trek is that it doesn't matter how many times you've seen the Corbomite maneuver, you can go back and find something else in it, and I think that's the enduring power of the show because you go back and you go, on the simplest term, don't judge a book by its cover, and then you start scratching deeper and deeper, and it's just I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, and I tell you what, the view around here, looking out to the bay up here in Redcliffe, is pretty cool. I'm glad you brought me up here again.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Lee, thanks very much for having a Trekzone conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me.